Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Movie Mayhem with Spanky and G. As always, I'm Spanky.
And I'm G.
Just a quick shout out, as usual, to the Metal Matt podcast. Go join it, subscribe, everything, listen to it. The thing's awesome. Shout out to Chucky's Playground.
Of course.
Number one site for anything Chucky.
Exactly.
And as usual, Chucky115 Awesome. You're still continuing to put up this good work.
Yeah,
And
we appreciate it.
So
Jinx.
much. Jinx. Anyway, we're going to get right into this week's episode, and it was another first-time movie for G.
As always.
And we decided to change it up a little bit, spice it up. We've only done live-action movies so far, and they've all been kind of more teen or above. And this is more of a kids movie. It's animated. It's by DreamWorks. And it's from 2012. It's Rise of the Guardians.
Not the Owl movie.
Not the Owl.
As I originally thought. I swear this is not scripted. Enough.
It wasn't me.
Moving on from that.
Anyway, this movie has a lot of famous voiceovers. Starting with Alec Baldwin voices Santa Claus. Chris Pine voices Jack Frost.
Hugh Jackman
Is the Easter Bunny. You got
Isla Fisher
as the Tooth Fairy. And you also got Jude Law as Pitch, or the Boogeyman. And the premise of this movie is fairly simple. I mean, it's a kid's movie, but pretty much they're guardians, and they're supposed to protect the children's innocence and make sure they believe. And currently the guardians are Santa Claus, who is kind of portrayed in this movie. He has tattoos on his arms that say naughty and nice. Mm-hmm. And he kind of has a Russian accent. He kind of dresses Russian. The Easter Bunny, who is Australian, he has boomerangs. And he's like a jackrabbit. And the Tooth Fairy...
Some kind of bird thing.
Yeah, well, she has little fairies that help her out, and they're kind of like hummingbirds almost. Mm-hmm. And then the fourth one is the Sandman. And the Sandman doesn't talk at all, but the Sandman was probably one of my favorite characters in this. They refer to it as Sandy. He just kind of floats around. He's gold, and he knocks kids out with his sleeping powder, and they can doze off and dream about whatever wacky shit they want to dream about. Mm-hmm. And it opens up with a narrative by Jack Frost about wondering who he is and wondering what his purpose is, and it shows him in a town creating a snow day for the kids. They're all excited. He's making snowball fights and all this happening. No one can see him or acknowledge him because, as it turns out, nobody believes in him.
And it's kind of really true because, as a kid, I never thought Jack Frost was a person.
And we're not talking about the previously reviewed Jack Frost.
Yeah, no,
or Michael Keaton.
We're talking about a sexy, 17-year-old Jack Frost.
Easy there.
So you can talk for an hour and a half about a chest, but I can't talk about how sexy Jack Frost is.
That chest is over 18. You said 17. That's the flag.
Young, dumb, and the rest.
But anyway, Jack Frost he's kind of like a prankster. He's up to shenanigans, but no one believes him in him, so kids won't see him. They'll just walk right through him. And it kind of has him down. And then enter Pitch, the boogeyman, creator of bad dreams. He kind of wants to take over the world because nobody believes in him. He thrives on fear. He's spent this whole time mastering how to make nightmares. And for the movie, I liked all the animation. It was pretty solid.
It was really good.
They show when the Sandman puts people in dreams, his sand powder forms solid objects above them, what they're dreaming about. This one big gumpy chick, this little chick named Cupcake or something like that.
Her name is Cupcake.
Her name is because she's a big brutish woman. Think of Patty from Hey Arnold.
Oh my god.
But she's dreaming of unicorns, and there's a scene where Sandman accidentally knocks out Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy, and then the Tooth Fairy you see teeth, Santa Claus you see candy canes, and the Easter Bunny you see carrots.
Yeah.
So it had really neat animation like that. It kind of shows like Santa Claus, the North Pole. He has all these Yetis that work for him and these little elves, which are pretty like goofy. They kind of remind me. Well, I don't know if it came out before, but like the minions from Despicable Me. Maybe not as like adorable or goofy, but they're kind of just like dopey little.
I have never seen Despicable Me.
Oh boy! Well, like they kind of do the same thing. They walk on the
I know.
Like and then of course the Easter Bunny, his makes all these eggs walk by themselves and he paints them and whatnot. And
yeah.
The Tooth Fairy collects these teeth and exchanges them for money. Well, she has all her little minions do it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Pitch wants to be recognized. He's sick of being pushed down. And he kind of... What does he kind of do? He kind of speaks to Jack Frost.
Yeah.
Because he points out, like, they have something in common.
Yeah, how Pitch himself was never believed in because all the kids were told don't believe in the boogeyman. He's not real, so of course they can't see him. And
so it kind of like puts Jack Frost in an awkward position. He's like, well, I want to be recognized. I know what this guy's going through and whatnot. And pretty much, Pitch launches an ambush on the Guardians, starting with the Sandman. And eventually he has this, like, while the Sandman has all this, like, gold dust that floats around, Pitch has this, like, black dust that makes, like, these, like, I'm trying to think of the word, like, they're kind of like scary-looking stallions. And they represent nightmares. And they completely ambush, because this is, like, after they all get knocked out by Sandman's powder, except for Jack Frost and the Sandman. And so Pitch starts attacking them. And then Sandman gets overwhelmed. It's kind of sad, but you see Sandman sitting there kicking some ass.
Yeah.
He's just surrounded by, like, Pitch's army. And he's just whipping them. And then he just gets overcome by them and swallowed up. And it's like, oh no, you think he's dead. And it just kind of continues. Like, the underlying theme is Jack Frost trying to figure out who he is. He doesn't remember anything. He just remembers being Jack Frost. And it's really weird. It's like they take their orders from the moon.
Yeah, and the moon doesn't have a voice. It's not like Teletubbies.
Yeah, it's not like the sun from Teletubbies. It's just like, and like...
Oh, no. Never do that again.
And, like... So it's not like that. It's just kind of ominous, and they just interpret it.
Yeah.
So that's, like, the whole underlying story is Jack Frost trying to... As Santa Claus refers to him as, like, find his center, what makes him him. Mm-hmm. And so then next, like, after the Sandman, Pitch, like, strikes the Tooth Fairy and captures all the fairies but one. And then shortly after, starts bringing havoc on the Easter Bunny and all this. And so now these kids are waking up. They're not seeing their teeth taken away in exchange for money. It's like Easter Sunday, and all these kids aren't getting eggs. And so they have this, like, world with all the lights of the children believe, and it starts going out because all these kids are stopping to believe in, which kind of makes me wonder, like, what age group this movie is exactly geared toward, because it does have the thing, like, it's saying, like, kids are stopping, are not believing in them anymore. So I'm like, do you show this to, like, a 4-year-old kid? But then, like, the overall message is they're real.
Yeah.
So I guess that's, kind of answers my inquiry about that. But so yeah, the Guardians are getting their ass kicked by Pitch.
And his dark horses.
Yeah, and all his dark horses. Nothing like the Katy Perry song. and like, so that's essentially most of the movie. And then it gets to, like, Jack Frost is trying to save the sole remaining fairy, and he has this magical staff that gives him his powers, and he finally figures out, like, he gets his memories opened up to him.
But we didn't necessarily touch base. The fact, like, I guess Tooth Fairy opened up with Jack Frost that they were once people, but they were chosen.
They were all people at one point, and they were all chosen by the moon to be these, well, not necessarily guardians, but these, I'm trying to think of the word for them.
These immortal beings.
Yeah, like these literary characters in Sandman. And thinking of do they not care about the Jewish children because Santa Claus? That's that kind of like. What about those kids? Do they not get his? Does he not overlook them? That's kind of mean.
Okay. Well, no, they got the other guardian.
Yeah, I guess. Santa's just a little bigot. He's not giving a crap about anyone that doesn't believe in Christmas, and
he must love the South.
But anyway, so Jack Frost gets his memories opened up to him, in which it shows him 300 years previous. He was a boy, and he was like a jokester, a prankster, and he's like ice skating out on a pond with his little sister.
Yeah.
And the ice starts to crack, and it's a very distinct dialogue between the two. Like, the sister's kind of freaking out, and Jack's trying to calm her down, and she's fairly certain he's playing a joke on her, and he ends up saving her, essentially.
But dying himself.
Yes, so like he gets her off of the shattering ice, and then
he drowns in it.
And that's when the moon.
And that sort of brings you back to the opening scene where the ice is cracking, and then there's a moon.
Yeah, because it kind of, the opening scene is kind of like when Jack Frost was underwater looking through the lake up at the moon, and then he realizes his memories, and then he comes back. He gets a little more powerful, and he decides he's going to help fight Pitch, who has pretty much successfully dimmed all the lights of the world except for one. And so, which he doesn't believe in the Easter Bunny anymore and all this, and Jack like convinces him, but there's still the problem that nobody believes in Jack Frost.
Mm-hmm.
So he magically conjures his powers and makes the boy believe by putting the kid on some acid or something.
No. By putting Frost in his window and drawing the Easter Bunny, because his kid's talking to the Easter Bunny.
He's talking to a stuffed bunny.
Yeah, that's stuffed bunny. Sorry, I didn't mean to cough in everybody's ear. But yeah, talking to a stuffed Easter bunny and saying, like, if you're real, like, what the hell happened? There was no eggs or anything today. If you're real, leave me a sign, let me know.
He knocks that piece of shit off the bed.
And then Jack Frost is like, damn, I gotta do something, or we're gonna lose our only kid left, because this kid is the only kid in the entire globe who believes in any of them. And so he fogs the window up with his frost.
Yep.
And draws a picture of the bunny and makes it come alive.
Draws a big butt on the ice, on the frost on the window. No, he doesn't, but like, so...
You only wish that he did.
And so he gets the kid to finally believe in him, and Jack Frost is all shitting himself because the kid can finally see him. And so he still has one believer.
Do I look good? No.
Yeah, nah. Like, so... The Guardians show up, and the thing is, like, when they stop being believed in, they kind of transform differently, like, they lose their powers. Like, Santa Claus is kind of not as, like, strong anymore. He's
getting old.
He's old. Tooth Fairy just looks exhausted, and the Easter Bunny's just a little tiny cute bunny.
He used to be, like, this 6'1" Jack.
Yeah, and so Pitch has this whole army of, like, the Bad Dream Stallions. And he has them surrounded, and he's about to take them out, including that last kid. And then Jack Frost finally realizes what his center is, which is to have fun, because that's who he is. And so he pretty much starts a snowball fight and gets this one believer and all his friends to start having winter fun. And they start believing again. And so there's only like 6 kids, and... he's still surrounding them, and he's about to attack them, and they're starting to attack him, and like, so they're attacking the kids, and the kids magically touch them. Not like that.
That sounded terrible.
Yeah, it did.
Please reword.
And like, the kids are like, we'll stand up against you, and they still have, like, dreams inside of them, because as soon as the stallions, like, come in contact, they turn into, like, the gold dust, and then you're like, oh, the Sandman's still alive. And they're shattering all these evil stallions. And, like, it just turns into this big-ass battle between them all. And eventually, like, all the Guardians gain their powers back.
Yeah, because more and more kids are believing at this point.
So, like, the Sandman... Well, not Santa... But, like, Santa Claus has these, like, snow globes that act as portals. And he throws... And, like, all his Yetis and elves come out and start fighting and helping them. Tooth Fairy is helping. Jackrabbit... Or the Easter Bunny turns back into himself. And, like... From there... Like... I'm trying to remember. Then the Sandman reemerges. And just starts kicking Pitch's ass. Like, he was not happy. Like, Pitch was about to stab... I can't remember who was about to stab. But Sandman, like, throws a lasso around and just starts beating him up.
Yeah.
And essentially, Pitch... They corner Pitch and give him, like, the typical "you've been a bad boy" type speech in Disney movies or kids' movies. But Pitch still has a couple of these black stallions around. And he's like, there'll always be fear. How do you explain these? And then everyone's like, well, we're not afraid.
It's your fears, man, says Jack Frost.
And then his stallions go and attack him and away with Pitch.
Yes, and...
Everyone lives happily ever after.
Exactly.
It's like your typical kids movie.
And then, but the one kid asks, like, all these crazy-ass questions that are, like, so deep. Like, what if I stop believing?
Yeah, like, he's doing the thing, like, what if I stop? I can't see you and all this. And Jack urges him, he's like, you don't have to see us to believe us. Do
you believe that the moon's not there when the sun comes up?
And I replied, yeah, because it's freaking hot during the day.
God.
But anyway, you know, typical kid movie ending, happy ending, everything's all in well. And
all the Sandman made all their dream caricatures.
Yeah, and, you know, it ends with, like, them officially inducting Jack Frost into the Guardians.
Yeah.
Into their little soiree or whatever.
Yeah.
And it ends.
Yeah.
So it's your standard typical kids movie. You know what you would expect. I mean I didn't think anything was spectacular, but I still enjoyed it. I enjoy kids movie time to time. They're still pretty good.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, when this came out, I remember seeing, like, back home we have big theaters that are like chains, whatever. And there was all these stickers for this particular movie, and I just saw one of Santa. I'm like, this looks like freaking bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it just looked totally unappealing, so I never watched it, but I'm glad I did, because it's one of those, like, feel-good movies. I'm surprised, and normally these kind of movies have some part of it which makes me cry, and this one didn't, so that's another plus.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it when I first watched it. And, you know, as I said, it's nothing spectacular. I'm not the biggest fan of, like, animated kids movies, but, you know, I'm still gonna give them a shot most of the time. You know, and one of the things that was important for me, being a kids movie, you know, DreamWorks and all this, it wasn't a musical. Now, I don't really have anything against musicals for the most part, but...
Better not.
But if it is a kids movie and it is not a musical, I am going to be more inclined to watch it.
Such as Shrek?
Such as Shrek or Fox and the Hound.
Still trying to get you to watch Shrek the musical.
In time. We'll get there. But anyway, Rise of the Guardians. If you like these type of movies, it's by DreamWorks, so it is like the same people who made Shrek.
Family safe.
Good
acting. Pretty good cast.
Yeah, really good voice acting. I highly recommend it. You're not going to regret it. It's a magical movie.
Quite literally. But just don't tell the kids that Santa doesn't exist after.
Even though he doesn't. If you're under 10 years old, ignore that.
Yeah, please do.
Well, anyway, that wraps up the time we have for this episode. We didn't decide what we're going to watch next week, so...
So any suggestions would be...
throw them our way.
Throw them our way.
I mean, I'm going to know one thing for future episodes are... The audio quality probably won't be as good as this because
I'll be in
because
Canada.
We're going to be in 2 different locations, so we're going to have to set up some conference call and record it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we kind of stockpiled some episodes up while we were able to.
Yeah.
And we're going to release them accordingly.
And when we meet again, we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah,
so some may be better than others, but...
Exactly, but we'll figure it out. But, thanks for listening, and as always, stay classy.
See you later.